As the silver spacecraft descended, the sprawling expanse of the alien city unfolded below. Its architecture was a symphony of impossible geometry, structures twisted in spirals and arches that defied conventional physics. This was Nexus, a city reserved exclusively for beings whose intellects surpassed a threshold unimaginable to most species across the cosmos. An IQ of over 250, David Archer, the sole human aboard, gazed out with a mix of awe and trepidation. He was a quantum physicist, selected for his groundbreaking work in subatomic particles, which had earned him a place among the intellects of Nexus. His credentials had been scrutinized and validated by the Galactic Council, granting him the rare opportunity to mingle with the superior beings of the universe. The spacecraft's AI, Helix, interrupted his thoughts. "Dr. Archer, we are approaching the landing platform. Please prepare for disembarkation." David nodded, adjusting the collar of his uniform, a garment embedded with microtechnology designed to translate and adapt to the environmental needs of Nexus. As he stepped onto the platform, a cool breeze brushed against his face, carrying scents and sounds completely foreign. The city's atmosphere was engineered to accommodate a diverse range of alien physiologies, a testament to the technological prowess of its inhabitants. He was greeted by an entity named Ceylon, who appeared more as a floating cluster of luminescent orbs than a singular being. "Welcome, Dr. Archer," Ceylon communicated telepathically, the words resonating directly within David's mind. "Thank you, Ceylon. It's an honor to be here," David replied, his voice steady despite his growing curiosity about the forms of life around him. As they moved through the city, David observed beings of all shapes and sizes. Some floated ethereally, while others walked on numerous limbs. The diversity was staggering, each species having adapted uniquely to their home environments before earning a place in Nexus. "Your first assembly is at the Hall of Enlightenment," Ceylon informed him as they approached a towering building made of a shimmering translucent material. "Here, you will meet others like you, thinkers and scholars dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what is known." Inside, the hall was vast and filled with light. Beings congregated in small groups, engaged in deep, animated discussions. David felt a thrill of excitement. This was the pinnacle of intellectual achievement, a gathering of the brightest minds in the galaxy. His introduction was brief, yet impactful. "Beings of Nexus, I present to you Dr. David Archer, a human of Earth, specializing in quantum mechanics. He joins us as a peer in our quest for knowledge." The crowd murmured their approval, and several beings approached to introduce themselves. Each interaction was an exchange of ideas, and David quickly realized that communication here transcended language. Here, thoughts and concepts flowed freely and directly. As the day progressed, David was invited to participate in various symposiums discussing topics ranging from advanced theoretical physics to the ethics of consciousness transfer. He contributed eagerly, his human perspective both unique and valued. As the sun set on Nexus, a sun different from Earth's, casting a spectrum of colors unseen by human eyes, David felt a sense of belonging. He was far from home, yet here in this city of superior intellects, he found a new purpose. He was ready to explore, to learn, and to contribute to a community that valued knowledge above all. In the quiet of his assigned residence, David pondered the days ahead. Nexus was not just a place of learning, it was a test of his own limits and a chance to expand the horizons of human understanding. With that thought, he turned his gaze to the stars visible through the transparent ceiling, contemplating the infinite mysteries waiting to be unraveled. David awoke to the melodious hum of Nexus's dawn chorus, an artificial yet soothing simulation designed for the city's non-nocturnal residents. As he prepared for the day, his thoughts were already racing ahead to the discussions scheduled on temporal physics, a field that had fascinated him since his early academic years. Today's session was to be held at the Ixthara Pavilion, a center renowned for its pioneering research into time manipulation and its paradoxes. Named after the Ixtharian theorist who first proposed that time could be folded as easily as space, the pavilion was a beacon for the most daring minds in the universe. As David entered the pavilion, he was immediately struck by the intricate design of the interior. The walls were lined with temporal resonators, devices capable of displaying past and future probabilities in real time. It was here, amidst this advanced technology, that David hoped to gain insights into the time dilation effects he'd encountered in his quantum experiments. The session commenced with a presentation by Dr. Zoel, a being whose form fluctuated with the flow of time itself. "Time is not a river," Zoel began, their voice echoing through the chamber, "but a vast ocean where currents can cross and recross without beginning or end." David listened intently, absorbing every word. The concept was radical, even for him, but it opened up a myriad of possibilities for his research. Could quantum entanglements be influenced by manipulating these temporal currents? As the discussion opened to the floor, David posed his question, linking it to his research on quantum states. The room buzzed with excitement as theorists and physicists alike debated the implications. The idea that time could be more than just a dimension to travel but a variable to manipulate within quantum mechanics sparked fierce debate. After the session, a small group formed around David, eager to explore his ideas further. Among them was Dr. Ilara, a specialist in quantum chronodynamics. "Your theory could provide a framework for the predestination paradoxes we've been encountering," she explained, her eyes bright with the thrill of potential discovery. Together, they sketched out the beginnings of a collaborative project, blending their respective fields. The goal was ambitious: to create a localized temporal field that could alter the state of quantum particles in a controlled environment. If successful, they might not only prove David's theories but also pave the way for advancements in time manipulation. Over the following weeks, David and his new colleagues worked tirelessly, their experiments growing ever more complex. The Nexus provided them with resources unimaginable on Earth: exotic particles, super-advanced computational models, and direct access to the temporal resonators. One evening, as the artificial twilight bathed the city in gentle hues, David stood before the temporal field emitter they had constructed. It was a delicate arrangement of quantum stabilizers and temporal flux modulators, ready for its first full test. "Ready, Dr. Archer?" Dr. Ilara asked, her voice tinged with anticipation. David nodded, his hand hovering over the activation console. "Let's see what the fabric of time has to offer," he said, and with a final check, initiated the sequence. As the emitter whirred to life, a shimmering bubble enveloped the test area. Inside, particles began to behave in ways that defied conventional understanding, flickering between states at seemingly impossible rates. The team watched, breathless, as their theories materialized before their eyes, proving that the boundaries of time and space were more malleable than anyone had dared to imagine. In the aftermath of their groundbreaking experiment, word spread throughout Nexus of the human who bent the threads of time. The city, always a hub of intellectual fervor, buzzed with a renewed sense of possibility. At the heart of this whirlwind of excitement was David, whose ideas now fueled debates and speculations across diverse scientific communities. Amidst this scientific renaissance, an invitation was extended to David to attend the Synapse Conclave, an elite gathering of minds held in the celestial towers that pierced the skies of Nexus. Here, the universe's most innovative thinkers convened to share knowledge and challenge the realms of possibility. Upon arriving at the conclave, David was introduced to a panel of experts, each a leader in fields as varied as neurocosmic studies, dimensional mathematics, and synthetic biology. The topic of today's discourse was the potential integration of biological and temporal sciences, a venture into uncharted territory. Dr. Taval of the Cerebrax species, renowned for their cognitive enhancements, addressed the assembly first. "We are at the brink of understanding the cognitive processes involved in perceiving time," Dr. Taval stated, his tendrils glowing with each syllable. "Imagine harnessing this to expand our mental capacities to perceive not just the present, but the multiple threads of potential futures." David, intrigued by the intersection of time perception and cognitive function, shared insights from his own human perspective. "Our understanding of time is linear, limited," he explained. "What if we could break that linearity? We could potentially preempt the outcomes of our decisions before they are made." the discussion veered into the implications of such abilities. Ethical considerations were debated fervently, with scholars from the ethereal order cautioning about the dangers of such power. To see the future is to hold dominion over will, one elder philosopher mused. Are we to become masters of fate, or its slaves? As the conclave delved deeper into the night, a plan was formulated to pursue this new frontier. A project was proposed to develop a prototype device that could enhance neurological functions using temporal technology. David was asked to lead the project, given his unique expertise in bridging quantum mechanics with practical applications. Working closely with neuroscientists and temporal engineers, David helped design the prototype, known as the neurotemporal enhancer. This device was engineered to stimulate the brain's ability to process temporal information beyond normal human capacities. After months of meticulous design and testing, the initial trials were conducted. Volunteers equipped with the enhancer reported extraordinary experiences, visions of potential future events, though still hazy and indistinct. Each session provided valuable data, refining the device's capabilities and its safety features. One evening, during a particularly intense test session, something unprecedented occurred. The volunteer, a young physicist named Lyra, described a vivid projection of two possible future scenarios stemming from the same decision point. The clarity and detail were unlike anything the team had anticipated. "This could change everything," David murmured as he reviewed the data. The implications were profound, hinting at the possibility of not just observing potential futures but interacting with them. As the project progressed, David found himself at the center of a paradigm shift in scientific thought. The boundaries between thought, time, and reality were blurring, opening new avenues for exploration. The potential to not only understand but interact with the fabric of time was tantalizingly within reach, promising a future where the mysteries of the cosmos could be unraveled one thread at a time. As the neurotemporal enhancer project gained momentum, it also attracted scrutiny. The concept of manipulating cognitive functions to perceive and interact with time ignited a firestorm of ethical debates. To address these concerns, the Temporal Ethics Symposium was convened in the vast auditorium of the Ethical Harmony Center, a neutral space designed to facilitate open and unbiased discourse among the diverse inhabitants of Nexus. David sat among the attendees, an assembly of philosophers, ethicists, scientists, and representatives from various civilizations, each with their own unique perspectives on morality and the implications of temporal manipulation. The symposium was opened by Elder Kryn, a figure revered across multiple systems for her wisdom in ethical jurisprudence. "Eminent minds of Nexus," Elder Kryn began, her voice echoing solemnly through the chamber. "We gather here to discuss not merely the feasibility of temporal cognition enhancement, but its implications on the very fabric of existence. We tread upon the soil of the gods. Altering perception of time alters reality itself." A panel of ethicists presented their arguments. Dr. Fenarius, an ethicist from the planet Valaris, raised a point that resonated deeply in the hall. "With such power, we risk the very nature of free will. If one can see and alter future events, does true choice still exist? Or are we merely puppets to those who wield this technology?" David listened, his mind racing with counter-arguments and justifications. When it was his turn to speak, he stood, facing the crowd with a calm demeanor. "Consider the potential for good," he proposed. "With foresight into the consequences of our actions, could we not prevent tragedies? Could we not enhance our decisions to benefit all of civilization?" The debate intensified, with scholars from the Dimensional Ethics Council highlighting cases from their historical texts where similar powers had led to catastrophic outcomes due to misuse. "History teaches us that great power begets great responsibility, yet more often great corruption," noted Counselor Therese. As the discussions unfolded, a consensus began to emerge on the need for stringent controls and oversight. A proposal was drafted for the creation of the Temporal Oversight Committee, tasked with regulating the use of any technology capable of altering temporal perception. David was invited to join this committee, providing a direct line from the developmental phase of the technology to its ethical oversight. Simultaneously, a theoretical framework was being built around the enhancer's usage. Dr. Alara and David collaborated on drafting the Nexus Temporal Accord, a document outlining the ethical use of temporal technologies, including strict guidelines on consent, transparency, and the limitation of usage to scenarios deemed critical by a panel of ethics and science experts. In the laboratories, the next phase of testing focused not just on the efficacy of the neurotemporal enhancer, but also on implementing fail-safes and ethical guidelines into its programming. The device was refined to include a biofeedback mechanism that would disable the temporal perception enhancement if it detected psychological or neurological stress in the user, a safeguard designed to prevent potential abuse or harm. As these developments progressed, David found himself often at the Nexus's viewing platforms, looking out into the cosmos, pondering the repercussions of their work. Each star, a reminder of the vast possibilities and responsibilities they held. The neurotemporal enhancer could usher in a new era for civilization, or it could bring about its downfall. The balance they needed to maintain was as delicate as the threads of time they sought to manipulate. With the establishment of the Temporal Oversight Committee and the drafting of the Nexus Temporal Accord, the Neurotemporal Enhancer Project moved from theoretical exploration to practical application under the most stringent ethical scrutiny. However, as the breadth of the project expanded, unforeseen quantum dissonances began to manifest, challenging the very fabric of the technology and its implications on reality. During a routine enhancement session, a significant anomaly occurred. The subject, a physicist named Dr. Soren, experienced a profound dissonance, simultaneous awareness of multiple timelines that not only disoriented him, but also temporarily fractured his perception of reality. The incident sent ripples of concern through the project team. The labs were put on high alert, and all testing was halted until the cause of the anomaly could be identified. David delved into the heart of the problem, suspecting that the interaction between the temporal flux modulators and the quantum stabilizers might be creating interference patterns that the human mind was ill-equipped to handle. Collaborating closely with Dr. Alara and a team of quantum physicists, he initiated a series of experiments designed to map the interference patterns and develop a theoretical model to predict their occurrence. Their research uncovered that at certain quantum alignments, the fabric of time itself could become malleable to the point of creating pockets of temporal instability. These findings were both groundbreaking and alarming. "We're not just observing time, but interacting with it on a quantum level," David explained during a briefing to the Oversight Committee. "It's as if we're stirring the ocean with our fingertips, oblivious to the waves we're creating." Armed with this new understanding, the team worked to redesign the enhancer's interface, incorporating quantum dampeners that could minimize the dissonance effects. These devices required delicate tuning, synchronized perfectly with the user's brainwave patterns to ensure a harmonious interaction with the temporal field. Meanwhile, the ethical debates intensified. The revelation of quantum dissonance brought about a new wave of concern regarding the potential for unintended consequences. The Oversight Committee convened an emergency session, inviting David to present his findings and discuss the path forward. In the meeting, detailed simulations were shown, illustrating how even minor temporal disturbances could cascade into significant effects, subtly altering the outcomes of seemingly unrelated events. "We must consider the butterfly effect," one committee member argued. "Even microscopic changes can lead to unpredictable and possibly disastrous results." The committee decided to implement a new protocol, the Quantum Contingency Plan. This plan required that all future tests be run in isolated quantum fields, environments where temporal disturbances could be contained and studied without risk to the outside universe. As the protocols were put into practice, the project moved to a secluded facility designed specifically for high-risk temporal experiments. Here, surrounded by quantum buffers and temporal isolators, David and his team pressed forward with their research, pushing the boundaries of science with the utmost caution. Their efforts culminated in a series of controlled experiments that not only tested the limits of temporal enhancement, but also provided invaluable data on the interaction between time and consciousness. Each test was meticulously documented, contributing to a growing body of knowledge that would eventually redefine humanity's understanding of the universe. In this high-stakes environment, every success and failure was a lesson learned, drawing them ever closer to a full understanding of the complex interplay between time, space, and human cognition. In the fortified confines of the isolated facility, surrounded by the most advanced quantum buffers and temporal isolators ever constructed, David's team approached a critical juncture in their experiments with the neurotemporal enhancer. Each test pushed the boundaries of temporal physics, each discovery shedding light on the fragile threads connecting time and consciousness. The atmosphere was charged with a palpable sense of anticipation and trepidation, as every experiment held the potential to either unlock new realms of knowledge or to stumble into catastrophic failure. As the final phase of testing commenced, David stood in the control room, overlooking the chamber where the most ambitious test to date was about to unfold. The team had refined the enhancer to a degree that allowed for precise manipulation of temporal perception, targeting specific neural pathways involved in processing temporal data. The goal was to achieve a controlled temporary enhancement that could be safely reversed, thereby proving the practicality and safety of the technology. The test subject was Lyra, the physicist who had previously experienced a vivid projection of multiple futures. She was now equipped with an updated version of the enhancer, designed to gently guide her consciousness through the intricate dance of time without overwhelming her cognitive faculties. As the experiment began, data streamed in real time across the monitors, graphs and numbers charting the unseen currents of time interacting with human thought. Lyra, connected to the enhancer, began reporting her experiences. Her voice, calm and steady, narrated a breathtaking journey through potential timelines, describing visions of possible futures with unprecedented clarity. "This is extraordinary," Lyra exclaimed, her words echoing in the control room. "I can see the paths unfolding, choices branching out, but I'm not lost in them. I can remain anchored to the present." David watched, his heart racing as he monitored the quantum readouts. The dampeners were holding steady, the temporal fields stable. The enhancer was performing exactly as designed, facilitating a symbiotic interaction between the temporal fields and Lyra's enhanced cognitive processes. As minutes stretched into hours, the experiment continued without a hint of the dissonance that had plagued earlier trials. The success of the test marked a monumental achievement in temporal science. The team had not only demonstrated the safety and efficacy of the enhancer, but had also opened a window to a new understanding of time itself. With the conclusion of the experiment, the results were compiled and meticulously analyzed. The data confirmed the theoretical models and provided a comprehensive map of the safe application of temporal enhancement technology. The success paved the way for the next steps in the project's development, aimed at exploring practical applications ranging from advanced decision-making to historical research and even medical therapies for cognitive temporal disorders. In the days following the experiment, the Temporal Oversight Committee reviewed the findings. Satisfied with the safety measures and encouraged by the potential benefits, they approved the gradual introduction of the technology into various scientific and medical fields under strict regulations. David, standing at the nexus of this scientific breakthrough, felt a profound sense of accomplishment and responsibility. They had ventured into uncharted waters and navigated through immense challenges to harness the powers of time in a way that could benefit all of civilization. As the project moved forward, the implications of their work began to ripple outwards, influencing fields of study across the galaxy, reshaping the understanding of reality, and offering a glimpse into the profound connection between the human mind and the cosmic tapestry of time. In the quiet moments of reflection, looking out over the stars from the viewing platform of Nexus, David could not help but feel that they had touched the future, bringing it within the grasp of the present.